Hi there, Joka here with another video for today with some new release products. This collection is called Yana's Blooms and it's a bunch of Glimmer products like, Yana's collections normally are. Here they are. And some dyes as well. You can see in this particular set there is a frame, then some splatters, sentiments, thank you, no thanks, actually it's thanks, and birthday, and then a bunch of little sentiments that go with those. Then there is this die that is just two-piece, a floral, like a bunch, and then there is some dies that are exactly the same as the Glimmer sentiments in the other set. So the outline here is gonna work great with the Glimmer. So you have the option to die cut that layer or add foil to it. I think I'm going to use both. And then there is another new collection here that I forget the name of, but there's 4 sets in this collection, 2 mini Slimline rectangle dies, and then 2 A2 size sets that all work together. I'm not gonna be using these very much, but I will show you some cards with that. And I'm gonna start out by foiling. So this video is a bit longer because of the foiling mostly, and yeah, foiling is not something you want to learn from me. I really am not good at it, and I will show you more mistakes here than than correct ones. Like this one is totally underfoiled, so in the end I decided not to do it again, although I would have just needed to add some layers of paper for shim, but then I decided not to do that. I'm just trying some other pieces of the collection. This one is overfoiled on the 2 corners, or in the 2 corners, and I saw this, I see patterns in everything, to be honest. Now, here's this Spellbinders product. This is an acetate that is great for foiling. This is the first time I'm using it. I wanted to try. And my idea was here, the foil, I just didn't want to waste it. So I turned it around and I created this different pattern with it. I will actually use that. And then I see this here, this cool trellis pattern, and then I had the idea that if I turn around the die, then I have a flat surface and maybe it's gonna foil. It didn't, but I thought maybe the problem was that I didn't have enough pressure, so I added a bunch of cardstock, and look at that, it actually foils. So obviously this is ugly because I already messed it up before, but this is an idea for you, that this particular die you could just turn around and use as a, like a plate that you can use with all the extra foil that you have and you don't want to throw away, and it's gonna work fine. It just depends on how much pressure you add, so you have to play around with that. That's what I'm not so good at. I'm kind of impatient when it comes to foiling, so I didn't actually recreate that, but I did save that piece, and maybe I'm just going to use a part of it sometime, not this time, because I decided to not use white cardstock in this video at all. I actually decided to create monochromatic cards. One reason was when I foil, I generally cannot decide on color combinations. Okay, so here's the splatters. I have a bit of overfoiling there, but check this out. I use this, it's a glue eraser actually, but I don't know what it's called, but it removes that extra foil, even if it's not perfect, but it looks good enough. So I could save that card there. So what I was saying is that I just cannot decide on color combinations, especially pattern paper. So I don't know, I pull out some different materials and cardstock, and then I foil everything, and then I decide later what I use from that. So yeah, I thought it would be easier to go with monochromatic cards. It takes out that, thinking process from the equation. Here I also have a bit of overfoiling, but I can remove that with this. You see, it's quite okay. And there as well, I have some, but it removes it quite fine. So now I am actually foiling everything in different colors. Well, the foil I'm using today is actually just rose gold on every cardstock. Then there are these sentiments here that go with the larger ones. And then in the meantime, I foiled some other colors, pink cardstock and the Barely Peach one from Spellbinders. But I did edit that out of the video because it's just the same process as the first, the purple part. So I'm moving on to die cutting. I die cut this flower bunch from pink cardstock twice, and I added double-sided adhesive behind it because the die cut is so delicate and the lines are so thin. By the time I would put liquid adhesive on it, the first bit would dry already. Plus there would be some oozing, and then it's not so clean. What you see me do here is I'm cleaning up the adhesive there a little bit, because the lines are so thin. There are some adhesive that just I just have to tuck it behind the die cut so that it looks cleaner. And now I'm trimming off the edges and adding back some of the things that I cut off, the leaves, just to fill that space. And once this is done, I'm actually going to use one of those rectangles, the mini slimline die set. Actually, I think it's called Precision, something with precision. And the way these dies work, actually, so there you will see it. I'm gonna link them in the description box below, and you will see it on the Spellbinders website how they work. I think there is a quarter of an inch difference between, no, less than a quarter, maybe an eighth, and then a 16th of an inch difference between all of them if you put the two sets together, if that makes any sense. Anyway, so I just I just trimmed that. Well, I used the die to cut that card front and this as well, but I did not show that. I think the biggest size is the mini slimline, so that is 3¼ by 6¼ I think, but don't quote me on it. But that's the size I used for my card anyway. And to add some more dimension to my panel, I'm adding a foam sheet. This is from Crafter's Companion, and in that pack there are different thickness of foam sheets. And now I'm trying to figure out what to use here. I did go with a single color. And this one I'm using all the time. This is actually a Glimmer sentiment set, but it comes with 3 different banner dies, and they are great um, for many, many sentiment sets from Spellbinders. So I really use them all the time. That's a very useful set to have, I think. Um, so I die cut the tanks because I'll tell you why. I actually wanted to use a Glimmer sentiment here, but unfortunately, none of my foiled sentiments turned out nicely except the purple. So I did not have patience. So I just go with the die cuts. They are super skinny. So what you see me do here is clean up the oozing, even though this is a glue that has super fine tip. There's still more glue than I need, so there's some oozing there. And I mean, these tweezers are one of the most useful tools ever. What they also do, because they are sharp on the sides, they also remove all those fuzzy paper bits from the die cut. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but I have that often. Teeny tiny paper bits on die cuts, and then I just use my tweezers to remove those. I like my projects to be clean. I know a lot of people don't get bothered by that. But yeah, call me a perfectionist, I guess. Okay, so another one I die cut from purple, the same die as before, and now I'm creating a purple mini slimline card. And yeah, here I'm creating my card base. Previously I did it differently. I created the card base first, but there I had a problem that the backside of my card was not the same after I folded it. So actually this is my preferred method. I'm adding the card front onto a larger sheet of heavyweight white cardstock, and then I just really cut it to size. Okay, so you saw that I added these foiled splatters to my background, and I kind of use the flowers as a guide to help me see where I should put those splatters, and they worked out quite all right. Just so I have some foiled accents here. Now, this is the best foiled sentiment that I got this birthday, so I'm going to use that one. And you can see that there are some like small sentiments there, like happy wishes and on your. There is no banner die for that size, but what I do, and actually I have to recut this because I'm not going to use the happy, but what I did with happy here, and also I will do it with wishes, I used the smallest banner die, and I die cut let's say the left piece or the left side of it, and then I turned around the die and I die cut the right side of it as well, just so that it's nice and I have that banner shape, and it's it looks nicer than if I try to trim it. I cannot I cannot cut sentiment strips straight. So these banner dies are a lifesaver for me. I just really love using them. So I glue everything in place. I did not add any foam tape, any dimension. Now moving on to the third card. The third and the fourth cards are A2 size, just to have something different. And what you see there, that embossed panel, I actually did with the Glimmer hot foil plate. I just use the embossing mat that comes with the platinum machine, and eh, just really make sure that's what you use, because if you just use the plates, the normal plastic plates, they're gonna cut. I did try, I mean, ask me how I know that. I did try that, and it looks cool. It looks, well, it cuts all these strips apart, but I did not want to place them together again, so I just redid it with the proper tools. And again, I die cut some flowers, two to be exact, the same way as before. And now I'm filling up my background here. I still have some of the embossed panel peeking through, just for a different texture. And yeah, once this is done, I'm going to add this panel onto my card base and add a sentiment, and that's it. So I guess this card is pretty simple. So I wanted to use this sentiment, but you can see maybe a little bit that it's underfoiled. I think it's still good enough, but I anyway decided to go with something else. I have this rose gold cardstock. I think it's called Burnished Rose from Nuvo, I think. It's not the same color as the foil, but I think it's good enough. And this is what I was talking about. You don't see the tiny pieces of the cardstock, those fuzzy little pieces, but this is how I clean that up. I just use the edge or the side of my tweezers and swipe them off, and then they look a lot more clean and a lot more pretty. Okay, and now I'm going to die cut one of these little sentiments again, just like I did before, using the same method. So I'm die cutting the left side first, then turn around the die, and then the right side. This way you can really create all kinds of sizes of banners with just those 3 dies that are in that Glimmer kit that I showed you before. Okay, so I'm adding some liquid glue to this, and then I tap it off because it's just too much. So this way there's not so much oozing on the sides there. And then I just glue everything in place with liquid glue, so no extra dimension here. There's a lot of texture going on. I think it's enough. Now for my last card, I told you that I would use these foiled things. And now I'm also pulling out another die set that was from Becca Fegan a few months ago, I think. Just so that I can create a window. I did not want to, this is an A2 size card. I did not want to create a slimline window with the new die set. So I am creating a shaker card, and I'm adding, well, I'm creating my card base here. And what I did, what you see me do there for a second, I added a layer of white cardstock behind the this peach one, because I wanted to, I will have to add foam tape to this. So I wanted it to be sturdy. It is hard to cut through 2 heavyweight layers though, so maybe you want to do this separately and then glue them together, which is normally what I do. Okay, so I turned around the acetate, as you can see, and then this is gonna give me a trellis pattern. Of course, I wanted to line it up in a way that you don't see those gaps there, which actually is, I think it's a really cool pattern, but in this case, I didn't want that to be visible. So now I'm adding 2 layers of foam tape to have enough space for my shaker elements. To be honest, this particular foam tape is quite thick, so I probably could have gotten away with just one layer, because now my card is gonna be super dimensional. But it is what it is. And I'm adding some sequin mix here that has kind of peachy colors. And yeah, the shaker part is done. And I think that's such a cool effect with the stripes there. Now, well, I had these die cut flowers already, so I did not want to waste them. So I'm adding them to the card, but I don't know if that was the right decision. I mean, I didn't cover up the whole thing, but maybe I could have just left that card as it was and just add I could have added a sentiment and that's it. But I didn't want to waste these flowers. So I'm adding some foam tape here and then trim off the edges. So I'm just trying to place them the same way in both corners. Very simple. And then I'm considering not wasting the rest either, but then this one just looked too much for me. And I also didn't want to cover up that nice frame, with all those scored lines. So I decided not to add those flower bits. And I'm adding a die cut sentiment again, because like I said, I didn't have a foiled one that looked okay. And then I'm just using a foiled sub sentiment, so to say. And I just do exactly the same thing as before, adding liquid glue to this rose gold paper, and then tap off the excess not to have any oozing, and then I'm just cleaning up that sentiment a little bit. And again, using liquid glue, I'm going to adhere everything down on top of the flower. I did not want to add the sentiment in the middle so that I didn't cover any more of that cool background. Okay, so here are my 4 cards. It's all about what did I want to say? It's all about texture in today's video, really. Just monochromatic, simple cards with lots of texture. But I hope I could give you some inspiration. I hope you like Yana's new collection just as much as I do. It's very beautiful, I think. Okay, thank you very much for watching. I hope you see or you check out the other videos on my channel today as well. Thank you very much again, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.